Alright, so I'm gonna start this video as part of a series on my dog and how she became a service dog. Um, I think it's awesome to get it out there to talk about how you train a dog and how you shape a dog to be a certain way. Um, and I think hopefully it's helpful for anybody who wants to train their own service dog or train their own dog for any type of work. I am not an expert by any stretch of the means. Aro is actually my first working dog, and she will always have a special place in my heart because of that. She's only 4 years old at this point, almost four, and I hope to have her for at least 10 more years because she's just changed my life for the better, and I can't emphasize that enough. But anyways, we're gonna go to the start, the beginning. Um, in 2012, I was living with my fiance at the time. He's now my husband. In Los Angeles, we had this Cape Cod style house, this property that was pretty roomy in the back, and we just felt a little lonely. He gave me a fish tank with beautiful fish, and we had a little cat, but I really wanted a dog, and eventually, during that summer, he's like, you know what, let's get a dog. So we had to research breeds, and it was going to be mostly my dog. He knew that I was a big animal lover. I mean, he loves animals too, but he could tell that I was just so attached to dogs. And my brother had a small little Chihuahua mix, and that guy was pretty cool too. And we were about to adopt him off of my brother, but my brother probably needed him more than we did at the time. So anyways, we were looking for a short-haired breed because I love that about Blue. That's my brother's dog. And medium to large size because I love being able to hug a big dog. So, the breeds that come into mind are usually Labrador Retrievers, and we were actually in the process of trying to adopt a chocolate lab off of a rescue, but it was a puppy, and that was one aspect that my husband was adamant about. He was not going to budge on that. Um, he wanted a young dog, and for whatever reason, I couldn't understand it, but that was his restraint. So I was like, okay, all right, young dog. But it was hard. It was hard finding a puppy. With this lab puppy, I mean, she went on for maybe 2 days and she was already adopted. And that was just one out of several dogs that were like that. And they were all labs. I thought, labs were for me. Now looking back, I laugh because I actually can't stand most labs. There's only like two labs in the whole wide world of me interacting with all these dogs that I like. I don't know. Taro can tolerate all of them. She loves all of them. Dog is a dog is a dog to her, but I mean, I just can't stand them. So, anyways, um, we went the route where I wouldn't recommend this for anybody at this point because now I've learned. We went on Craigslist and there was a pit bull puppy with cropped ears and she had most of her shots except for the last set. She was about almost 14 weeks. I don't really know. I thought she was 10 weeks at the time, but you can't tell because she was my first dog. So I'm just like I don't know what this is. Actually, not first dog, but first power breed dog. So I didn't know much about them, and I went on Craigslist, contacted the guy, and this is Craigslist Los Angeles. You got a lot of fighting rings, underground, so you never know about these things. And she's not a rescue. She's bought and sold off of Backyard Breeder. We met him at an apartment complex, and the first thing I wanted to ask is like, why are you giving these puppies away? And he's like, oh yeah, yeah, my friend, breeds them, and I'm just helping out. And I'm like, but you live in an apartment. They're okay in apartments? Yeah, yeah, she's potty trained and everything. So I was watching. We brought Toffee, our cat, at the time. I don't know if I mentioned her before, but our cat Toffee, and Toffee was in her little carrier, and Taro was there, and Taro was super curious. She likes cats. She likes playing with cats, so she was really curious, and she was not aggressive at all, and she didn't growl and didn't do all the dog stuff. She's just bouncing around happily on the grass in front of the apartment complex, and the guy was like, "Yeah, she's really good dog. She's a dog." She had little scars around her ears because she was still healing from her crop, but it seems like, for medical things, she was taken care of. She had her first set of shots. They showed where she got her shots and everything. Um, but it looked kind of like suspicious, to be really honest, because we were in a pretty sketchy part of town, and I don't know what she was bred for. I really do wonder about it because of how her behavior is now. Um, she's so solid. She is bulletproof, solid in temperament. It's just insane. But it's curious. It's just one of those unanswered questions that I will always have. And I do regret spaying her because I would have had some really great pups from her if I wanted to go forward in that route. I didn't know how much of a working dog she'd become, but at that point I just wanted a pet. I wanted a cute pit bull, I guess, and brought her in, bought her for $200. I thought it was a steal because she looked like she was really taken care of, and she already knew a couple of tricks. So that was the beginning of it, and that's not even talking about her puppy kindergarten, unfortunately. Um, huh? Should extend this? All right, so puppy kindergarten. All right, this is gonna be like 12 minutes. God dang, puppy kindergarten. Because she's a pit bull, I think it was a big advantage because you take more care. The paranoia that sets in, usually sets in after you take the dog out in public several times because you notice that people do walk on the other side of the road, even if it's a puppy. I had, Taro grew up in an area where it was not sketchy, but it was borderline. We were right on, we're in North Hills, right next to Pycoma. And the properties over there were pretty large, and a lot of people had horse properties. But I do remember the nights where the helicopters would be hovering over, and like that kind of stuff going on. It was just, I laugh about it right now because it's so familiar at this point. I live in Mesa, Arizona now, and that shit happens over my apartment complex, and I don't blink an eye. It actually is comforting to hear that. Anyways, um, and so having a pit bull in the neighborhood wasn't a big deal. It was just when I went out to, like, the dog parks or um, out to dog friendly patios for food, restaurants. That's when I started seeing the problems. But anyways, having a pit bull did not really dawn on me until much later. But it did shape the way I treated her. I was very careful. I wanted to do it right. And I looked up all the information I could about her breed as well as about handling one. I couldn't have asked for better help. I was contact again Craigslist. There was a new dog trainer group or business starting up in Santa Clarita, and if you guys don't know, that's the area where Cesar Millan's Dog Psychology Center is. The San Fernando Valley is a little bit south, maybe like 20 minutes south of Santa Clarita, Valencia area. And that area is, I actually worked in the community college in that area for some time. And there's a lot of people who are passionate about dog training up there. And so the new group, Beth Harrison, she's a graduate of the Animal Behavioral College, I think that's what it was, ABC. And all of the trainers were from ABCs, and she started us off on the right foot. It was amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to work with when it came to training my dog because I had no clue. So she was very, she gave us a lot of guidance, and she was very supportive about having Taro, and not just having Taro, but that bond stronger in any shape or form. She was really adamant about that. And she started us off on how you start training a dog for certain behaviors and certain, restrictions. And one of the big things she drove home with me is the sure that you're consistent with the dog as well as um, providing very clear boundaries. And it sounds like common sense, but it is actually quite hard to do, especially if you have multiple people in the household. My husband went to some of the trainings with me, but most of the time, all the training was a couple, learning lessons, focus exercises, and letting a dog socialize. The puppies were really cute jumping around, and what another thing puppy kindergarten really helped me with was not only to get the AKC star puppy, but to also understand my dog's temperament as is, my dog's behavior. At this point, she's about 12, maybe 10 weeks. I don't remember anymore. But she's old enough to be her own puppy, and her personality is starting to form. And Taro has always been a confident dog. Confident and kind of bratty. Very in your face if she wants to be. And the way she interacted with these other puppies was just, she didn't care what they looked like, she didn't care what they did. She's like, I'm going to play with you. She singled them out. She was a big bully. But the good news is that you had these really calm and submissive boys. And eventually we had to split the classes in two size groups, you know. Taro was in the extra large group, and then not with the Chihuahuas and the Bichon Frises or the small little lap dogs. She was with the big boys, and they were huge compared to her. If you look at the video, it's like she's barely she doesn't care how big they are. But she had such personality, and I think that's why I decided, after puppy kindergarten, to push her to a dog working, some sort of workable activity. And I'll talk about her search and rescue later, but A Paw Above dog training set us up right. It was a great introduction to how to train a dog and how to deal with her, and how to do it in a loving and productive way, in a very positive way. So I give them my hats off to them for providing that service, and it was a well spent investment, especially for a dog like Taro, because of what she became afterwards is just incredibly. I don't know if it's fortunate or if it was because of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, but I would not have traded for anything.